Xin chào tất cả các bạn, lại tiếp tục series học tiếng Anh cùng cô Hải Yến. Bước vào phần 3 của bài học ngày hôm nay. Unit 3. Unit 3. Fried chicken and celery. Fried chicken and celery. Đi vào phần 1 thì chúng ta sẽ đi vào phần reading. Với phần reading này thì bây giờ cô sẽ đọc qua bài, sau đó thì cô sẽ cho mọi người thời gian để mọi người có thể nghiên cứu bài nhé. Unit 3, fried chicken and celery. Police are investigating an incident that occurred in the early morning on Sundays. According to reports, a man driving a motorbike dropped straight into the front window of a jewelry store and then removed the store's jewelry and scratched and flashed the screens. However, moments after the man fled, the side of the store, which is witnessed by LED lights, caused an electric spark and a fire to the store, which inches across the store and exploded. And injured by strength, the resplendence awesome satisfied and KFC that's located next to the Jaguar store. The waste in the damage and tolerance is still being evaluated, but the total insists to be in the billions of Vietnamese dong. There were some Guineas who observed the incident, and they were the ones who notified the authorities. Winnie's assessment and another person accompanied him and held the grace and cash. However, witnesses were self-ordered and possible suspects and could not recognize any of them. This incident is the third second this month, or involving motorbike in jewelry store. It has not been dismissed. My whether it is also same space. Committees cry or whether the first cry and inspires other people and images. The owner of the jewelries have made a comment on sisters. It's clear that the cry have expressed a big problem with law enforcement. They need to take more actions to preclude this from happening. Again, it reckons that CCTV installed on every street corner might hamper our rights and citizens, but perhaps it's a fair price to pay and prohibit this from happening again. However, some people have said that they are not willing to give up their right in order to install CCTVs on each street corner and will openly support if it ever happens. Otherwise, the authorized have stated that some actions will be taken to prevent this. If anyone has any information to disseminate on someone who might have persisted in the command list above, please contact authorized compliance. Authorized also negative things a possible works for anyone with relevant information, so there might be some incentive to speak up. Unit 3, fried chickens and jewelry. Police are investigating an incident that occurred in the early mornings on Sundays. According to reports, a man driving a motorbike dropped straight into the front window of a jewelry store and then removed to the store debris and cash to collect the skins. However, moment after their man's place, the side of the store, quickly illuminated by LED lights, cast an electric spark and a fire to the store, which in turn caused the store to explode and this by stations. The explosions also set fire to toward KFC that's located next to the jewelry store. The value of the damage and property solutions is still being evaluated, but the total is said to be in the billions of Vietnamese dollars. There were some witnesses who opposed elections, and they were someone who knows difficult other authorized. Winnie says that the man has another person accompany him and help take the jewelry and cash. However, witnesses were down. Photos of possible space and could not recognize any of them. This incident is the third or second last month or injuring motorbike and jewelry store. It has not been determined whether it's the same space committee, the crime, or whether the first crime interests other people and enemies. The owners of the jewelry have made comments on the situations. It is clear that these crime have exposed a big problem with law enforcement. They need to make more action to place close this more happening again. Records that CCTV is installed on every street corner might happen or right citizens. But perhaps it's fair price to pay to avoid this from happening again. However, some people have said that they are not willing to give up their right in order to install CCTV on each street corner and will open its doors. It is even happens. Otherwise, they outright have studies. Such action will be taken to prevent this. If anyone has any information to disseminate on someone who might have a participated in a crime listenable, please contact the authorized promise. Authorized are also negotiating a possible request for anyone with relevant information, though there might be some incentives to speak up. Delivery, fried chicken, and jewelry. Police are investigating the incident that occurred in the early mornings on Sundays. Across the airport, a man driving a motorbike drove straight into the front window of the jewelry store and then removed the store jewelry and cash and flashed the screens. However, moments after the man's place, the side of the store, which are illuminated by LED lights, got an electrical spark and fire to the store, which in turn caused the store to explode and injured by stranger. The explosions also set fire to a KFC that was located next to the jewelry store. The value of the damage and property stolen is still being valued, but the total is said to be in the billions of Vietnamese dollars. There were some witnesses who opposed their innocence and they were the ones who notified the authorities. Witness said that the man and another person accompanied him and helped take the jewelry and cash. However, witnesses were so full of possible suspects and could not recognize any of them. This incident in the third decade this month, or involving motorbike and jewelry store, it has not been demonstrated whether it is or the same space committing the crime or whether the first crime has inspired other people and images. Thereon of the juries have made a comment on the six sessions. It is clear that this cry has expressed a big problem with law enforcement. They need to take more action to preclude this from happening again. I reckon that CCTV installed on every street corner might hamper our rights as citizens, but perhaps it's the right to pay to prohibit it from happening again. However, some people have said that they are not willing to give up their right in order to install CCTV on each street corner and will openly process if this ever happens. Either way, the authorities have studied that some actions will be taken to prevent this. If anyone has any information to disseminate on someone who might have a facility its right listens above, please contact the authorized promptly. Authorities are also negotiating a passport request for anyone with relevant information, so there might be some instances to speak up. Police are investigating an incident that occurred in the early morning on Sundays. Across in the report, a man driving a motorbike dropped straight into the front window of a jewelry store and then moved the store jewelry and cash flashed the skins. However, moments after the man flashed, the side of the store, which is immensely by less lights, caused an electric spark and a fire to the store, which soon caused the store to explode and injured bystanders. The explosions have set fire at KFC that was located next to the World Jewelry store. The value of the damage and property stolen is still being evaluated, but the total is said to be in the billions of Vietnamese dollars. There were some witnesses who opposed the incident, and they were the ones who notified the authorities. Witness said that the man has another person accompanied him and had taken the jewelry and cash. However, witnesses were so photo and possible space and could not recognize any of them. This incident was the third and thickest this month, all involving motorbikes and jewelry store. It has not been determined whether it is other same space committed the crime or whether the first crime inspires other people to image it. The owner of the jewelry have made a comment on the sixth trend. It is clear that the crime have expressed a big problem with law enforcement. They need to take more action to preclude this from happening again. I reckon that CCTV installed on every street corner might hamper our rights as citizens, but perhaps it's better right to pay to prohibit this from happening again. However, some people have said that they are not willing to give up the right in order to install CCTVs on each street corner and will openly protest if it ever happens. Either way, the authorities have stated that some action will be taken to prevent this. If anyone has any information to disseminate on someone who might have a facility in the crime listed above, listen contacts authorized promptly. Authorities are also negotiating a possible request for anyone with relevant information, so there might be some reason to speak up. Thì đó là xong phần dịch chính của chúng ta. Thì bây giờ cô sẽ cho mọi người thời gian để mọi người có thể tìm hiểu qua bài. Sau đó thì cô sẽ đưa chúng ta vào phần 2 của buổi học ngày hôm nay, phần từ vựng. Bây giờ thì chúng ta sẽ sang phần 2 của buổi học ngày hôm nay, phần từ vựng nhé. Hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ có những từ mới nào. Accompany, đồng hành, distribute, distribute, phân phối, disperse, làm phiền, disturb, đa dạng, estimate, ước tính, evaluate, đánh giá, express, Lord, no, express, Laura, give up, từ bỏ, grant, tặng, hamper, cản trở, illuminate, giải thích, surprise, truyền cảm hứng, investigate, điều tra, negotiate, đàm phán, notify, thông báo, observer, quan sát, participate, tham gia, preclude, ngăn ngừa, prohibit, cản, prompt, thúc giục, protest, phản đối, provision, cung cấp, reckon, nghĩ, recognize, nhận ra, reconcile, hòa giải, recur, tái diễn, set up, tổ chức, subtract, khấu trừ, suicide, tự tử, perpetrates, nghi ngờ. Thì đó là toàn bộ từ mới của chúng ta trong buổi học ngày hôm nay. Bây giờ cô sẽ cho mọi người thời gian chép từ vựng vào vở, sau đó thì cô sẽ hướng dẫn cách phát âm nha. Bây giờ thì cô sẽ hướng dẫn các bạn phát âm của các từ ngày hôm nay nhá. Accompany, đồng hành. Distribute, phân phối. Disperse, làm phiền. Deserve, đa dạng. Estimate, ước tính. Evaluate, đánh giá. Explore, no. Express, lộ ra. Give up, từ bỏ. Grant, tặng. Hamper, cản trở. Illuminate, giải thích. Inspire, truyền cảm hứng. Investigate, điều tra. Negotiate, thông báo. Đàm phán. Notify, thông báo. Observer, quan sát. Participate, tham gia. Preclude, ngăn ngừa. Prohibit, cản. Promote, thúc giục. Protest, phản đối. Provision, cung cấp. Reckon, nghĩ. Recognize, nhận ra. Reconcile, hòa giải. Recur, tái diễn. Set up, tổ chức. Subtract, khấu trừ. Suicide, từ từ. Suspect, nghi ngờ. Bây giờ thì cô sẽ đọc mỗi từ 3 lần và các em sẽ đọc theo cô nhé. Accompany, accompany, accompany. Distribute, distribute, distribute. Disturb, disturb, disturb. Deserve, deserve, deserve. Estimate, estimate, estimate. Evaluate, evaluate, evaluate. Express, express, express. Give up, give up, give up. Grant, grant, grant. Hamper, hamper, hamper. Illuminate, illuminate, illuminate. Inspire, inspire, inspire. Investigate, investigate, investigate. Negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. Notifies, notifies, notifies. Observer, observer, observer. Participate, participate, participate. Preclude, preclude, preclude. Prohibit, prohibit, prohibit. Prompt, 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 prompt. Protest, protest, protest. Provisions, provision, provision. Reckon, reckon, reckon. Recognize, recognize, recognize. Reconcile, reconcile, reconcile. Recurse, recurred, recurred. Set up, set up, set up. Subtract, subtract, subtract. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suspect, suspect, suspect. Accompany, đồng hành. Distribute, phân phối. Disturb, làm phiền. Deserve, đa dạng. Estimate, ước tính. Evaluate, đánh giá. Explore, no. Express, lộ ra. Give up, từ bỏ. Grant, tặng. Hamper, cản trở. Illuminate, giải thích. Inspire, truyền cảm hứng. Investigate, điều tra. Negotiate, đàm phán. Notify, thông báo. Observer, quan sát. Participate, tham gia. Preclude, ngăn ngừa. Prohibit, cản. Prompt, thúc giục. Protest, phản đối. Provisions, cung cấp. Reckon, nghi. Recognize, nhận ra. Reconcile, hòa giải. Recur, tái diễn. Set up, tổ chức. Subtract, khấu trừ. Suicide, từ từ. Suspect, nghi ngờ. Accompany, đồng hành. Accompany, đồng hành. Disturb, phân phối. Disturb, disturb, làm phiền. Disturber, disturber, đa dạng. Estimate, estimate, ước tính. Evaluate, evaluate, đánh giá. Explore, explore, no. Expose, expose, lộ ra. Give up, give up, give up, từ bỏ. Grant, grant, tặng. Hamper, 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 cản trở. Illuminate, illuminate, giải thích. Inspire, inspire, truyền cảm hứng. Investigate, investigate, điều tra. Negotiate, negotiate, đàm phán. Notify, notify, thông báo. Observer, 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 quan sát. Participate, participate, tham gia. Preclude, preclude, ngăn ngừa. Prohibit, prohibit, cản. Prompt, prompt, thúc giục. Protest, protest, phản đối. Provisions, provisions, cung cấp. Reckon, 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 nghĩ. Recognize, recognize, nhận ra. Reconcile, reconcile, hòa giải. Record, record, tái diễn. Set up, set up, tổ chức. Subtract, subtract, khấu trừ. Suicide, suicide, tự tử. Suspect, suspect, nghi ngờ. Accompany, đồng hành. Distributor, phân phối. Disturb, làm phiền. Disturber, đa dạng. Estimate, ước tính. Evaluate, đánh giá. Explore, nổ ra. Export, lộ ra. Give up, từ bỏ. Grant, tặng. Hamper, cản trở. Illuminate, giải thích. Inspire, truyền cảm hứng. Investigate, điều tra. Negotiate, đàm phán. Notify, thông báo. Observer, quan sát. Participate, tham gia. Preclude, ngăn ngừa. Prohibit, cấm. Prompt, thúc giục. Protest, phản đối. Provisions, cung cấp. Reckon, nghĩ. Recognize, nhận ra. Reconcile, hòa giải. Recuse, tái diễn. Set up, tổ chức. Subtract, khấu trừ. Suicide, tự tử. Suspect, nghi ngờ. Thì đó là toàn bộ cái phần 2 phần từ vựng của chúng ta ngày hôm nay. Thì bây giờ cô sẽ cho mọi người xem lại và đóng lại toàn bộ từ vựng. Mọi người có thể xem thử là có thắc mắc nào thì mọi người có thể comment ở phía dưới bình luận nhé. Sau đó thì sau khi mọi người xem xong thì bây giờ chúng ta sẽ chuyển sang phần thứ 3, phần translate của ngày hôm nay. Chứ không phải sẽ mở ra thôi. Tổng video đáng lẽ là tổng video ta lại không cần phát thiết. Anh cơ ngại cái học cập nhật mấy cái đi. Nếu cái rồi cập nhật là có 6 cập nhật là anh em là. Thế là tầm khoảng 3-4 ngày đi là anh ấy chưa cập nhật lên đủ à. Tiếp tục với series học tiếng Anh hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ đến phần 3, phần Translate. Thì trong khi vào phần Translate thì bây giờ chúng ta sẽ nghe cô đọc, sau đó thì chúng ta sẽ vào phần Translate nhá. Unit 3. Fried chicken and daiquiri. Police, police are investigating an incident that occurred in the early morning on Sundays. A customer reports a man driving a motorbike drove straight into the front window of a daiquiri store and then removed the store daiquiri and cashier and flashed the screens. However, moments after the man flashed, the side of the store, which illuminated by left light, caused an electrical springs and fire to the store, which in turn caused the store to explode and injury bystander. The explosions also set fire to the KFC that was located next to the Zachary store. The values of the damage and property stolen is still being evaluated, but the total is said to be in the billions of Vietnam dong. There were some witnesses who observed the incident that they were the ones who noticed the authorized witnesses said that the man and another person accompanied him and have taken their jewelry and cash. However, witnesses were saw photos of possible suspects and could not recognize any of them. This incident is the third recurrence this month, or involving motorbike in jewelry store. It has not been determined whether it's the same subject committing the crime or whether the first crime has inspired other people to imitate the owner of the jewelries have made a comment on the situations. It is clear that green cameras have exposed a big problem with law enforcement. They need to take more action to preclude this from happening again. I reckon that CCTV installed on every street corner might hamper our rights as citizens, but perhaps it's a price to pay to prohibit this from happening again. However, some people have said that they are not willing to give up their right in order to install CCTV on each street corner and will openly protest if it ever happens. At the rate, the authorities have studied that some action will be taken to prevent this. If anyone has any information to disseminate on someone who might have participated in the crime listed above, please contact the authorized promptly. Authorized are also negotiating a possible reward for anyone with relevant information, though there might be some incentives to speak up. Unit 3. Fried chicken and jewelry. Police are investigating in an incident that corner in the early morning on Sundays. According to reports, a man driver a motorbike drove straight into the front window of the jewelry store and then removed the store jewelry and cashier and flashed the screens. However, moments after the man flashed the side of the store, which is illuminated by LED lights, caused an electrical surge and a fire to the store, which in turn caused the store to explode and injure bystanders. The explosions also set fire to a KFC that was located next to the jewelry store. The value of the damage and property lost is still being evaluated, but the total is said to be in the billions of Vietnamese dong. There were some witnesses who observed the incident and they were the one who notified the authorized witnesses said that the man had another person accompany him and held the jewelry and cash. However, Witnesses will show photos of possible suspects and could not recognize any of them. This incident is the third to record this month, or involving motorbike and jewelry store. It had not been determined whether it is or the same suspects committing the crime, or whether the first crime had inspired other people to emit their own that we have made a comment on the substance. It is clear that Zechariah have exposed a big problem with law enforcement. They need to take more action to police clear this from happenings again. I reckon that CCTV is still on every street corner. My hamper, alright, as citizen, but perhaps it's best to right to pay to prohibit this from happening again. However, some people have said that they are not willing to give up their right in order to install CCTV on each street corner and will openly protest it is if ever happens. Otherwise, the outright have studied that some actions will be taken to prevent this. If anyone has any information to disseminate on someone who might have participated in the crime listed above, please contact the authorized promptly. Authorized are also negotiating a possible request for anyone with relevant information, so there might be some encouragements to speak up. During 3. Fried chicken and jewelry. Police are investigating an incident that occurred in the early mornings on Sundays. According to reports, a man driving a motorbike drove straight into the front window of the jewelry store and then removed the store jewelry and cash and flashed the screens. However, moments after the man flashed, the side of the store, which is by last lights, caused an electric spark and a fire to the store, which in turn caused the store and explosion and injured bystander. The explosion also set fire to the KFC that was located next to the jewelry store. The value of the damage and property losses is still being evaluated, but the total is said to be in billions of Vietnamese dong. There were some witnesses who observed in the incident, and they were the ones who notified the authorities. Witnesses said that the man had another person accompany him and help take the jewelry and cash. However, witnesses were saw photos of possible suspects and could not recognize any of them. This incident in the third record this month, all involving motorbike and jewelry store. It has not been demonstrated whether it is the same suspect committing the crime or whether the first crime has inspired other people to imagine their own of the jewelry have made a comment on the situations. It's clear that these crimes have exposed a big problem with law enforcement. They need to take more action to preclude this from happening again. I reckon that CCTV installed on every street corner might hamper our right as citizens, but perhaps it's a first place to pay to prohibit this from happening again. However, some people have said that they are not willing to give up their right in order to install CCTV on each street corner and will openly protest if it ever happens. Either way, the I have studied that some action will be taken to prevent this. If anyone has any information to disseminate on someone who might have participated in the crime listed above, Please contact the authorized promptly. Authorized are also negotiating a possible request for anyone with relevant information, so there might be some incentives to speak up. Unit 3. Fried chicken and jewelry. Police are investigating an incident that occurred in the early mornings on Sundays. According to reports, a man driving a motorbike drove straight into the front window of the jewelry store and then removed the store jewelry and cash and flashed the screens. However, moments after the man flashed the side of the store, which is menaced by landslide, caused an electrical spark and a fire to the store. Quick inches caused the store to explode and injured bystanders. The explosions also set fire to a KFC that was located next to the jewelry store. The value of the damage and property solutions are still being evaluated, but the total is said to be in the billion of Vietnamese dong. There were some witnesses who witnessed the incident and they was the one who notified the authorities. Witnesses said that the man and another person accompanied him and held the jewelry and cash. However, witnesses were shown photos of possible suspects and could not recognize any of them. This incident thus to rescue this man involving motorbike and jewelry store. It had not been determined whether it is the same suspects committing the crime and whether the first crime and inspire other people to imitate their own of the jewelry have made a comment on the situations. It is clear and the crime have a spot a big problem with law enforcement. They need to take more action to preclude this from happening again. I reckon that CCTV installed on every street corner might hamper our right as citizens, but perhaps it's a fair price to pay to prohibit this from happening again. However, some people have insisted that they are not willing to give up their right in order to install CCTV on each street corner and will openly protest if it ever happens. Either way, the authorities have started that some action will be taken to prevent this. If anyone has any information to disseminate on someone who might have participated in crime listenable, listen contracts the authorized promptly. Authorized are also negotiating a possible request for anyone with relevant information, so there might be some incident to speak up. Thì đó là cái phần cô đã đọc sáng, thì bây giờ cô sẽ cho mọi người thời gian để mọi người có thể thử dịch qua văn bản, sau đó thì cô sẽ chữa bài nhé. Ba. Ừ. Ok. Bu đó, cái đây cá đi bắt bu. Em nghĩ chị. Đúng không? Thế có một bữa là chị cho Nhật để làm hay nữa. Bây giờ thì có thể chữa bài và dịch cái văn bản này nhá. Unit 3. Fried chicken and jewelry. Gà rán và trang sức. Police are investigating in an incident that occurred in the early mornings on Sundays, occurring to report a man driving a motorbike drove straight into the front window of a jewelry store and then movies. The store jewelry and cash and placed the screens. However, moment after the man placed the side of the store, which illuminates by LED lights, got an electric spark and a fire to the store, which in turn caused the store to explode and injured bystander. Explode also set fire to explode in injured bystander. The explosions also set fire to a KFC that was located next to the grocery store. The value of the damage and property stolen is still being evaluated, but the total is said to be in the billions of Vietnamese đồng. Cảnh sát đang điều tra vụ án xảy ra vào sáng sớm ngày Chủ nhật. Theo tường trình, một người đàn ông điều khiển xe máy lao thẳng vào cửa sổ trước một cửa hàng đồ trang sức, sau đó lấy đồ trang sức và tiền mặt của cửa hàng rồi chạy khỏi hiện trường. Tuy nhiên, ngay sau khi người đàn ông trốn thoát do biểu hiện của cửa hàng được biểu hiện của cửa hàng được giải thích bằng đèn LED nên đã phát ra một tia được phát hiện bằng đèn LED nên đã phát ra một tia lửa điện gây cháy cửa hàng đã dẫn đến nổ. Tuy nhiên, đến nổ cửa hàng và làm bị thương người qua đường. Vụ nổ đã làm cháy một tiệm ăn nhanh KFC bên cạnh. Giá trị thiệt hại và tài sản bị đánh cắp vẫn đang được đánh giá. Tuy nhiên, con số có thể lên đến hàng tỷ đồng Việt Nam. There were some witnesses who observed the incident and they were the ones who notified the authorities. Witnesses that the man had another person accompany him and help take the jewelry and cash. However, witnesses have shown photos to the possible suspects and could recognize any of them. Một số nhân chứng quan sát vụ việc đã thông báo cho chính quyền địa phương. Các nhân chứng cho biết người đàn ông này có một đồng phạm đồng hành giúp hắn lấy đồ trang sức và tiền mặt. Tuy nhiên khi được cho xem ảnh của cái người khả nghi thì họ đã không thể hóa giải, không thể tìm ra ai ra trong số đó. This incident alters the record this month, owing Vaudy's motorbike and jewelry store. It had not been determined whether in other same suspects committing the crime or whether the first crime inspired other people to imitate. Đây là vụ thứ 3 trong tháng này, tất cả đều liên quan đến xe máy và cửa hàng đồ trang sức. Hiện vẫn chưa tìm thấy được tất cả các hiện vẫn chưa xóa bỏ được liệu tất cả các vụ này đều do một nhóm đối tượng gây ra hai vụ án đầu tiên đã điều tra cho những kẻ khác bắt chước. The owner of the jewelry have makes a comment and six versions. Các chủ cửa hàng trang sức đã đưa ra bình luận về tình hình này. It is clear that Chris Cry have spot a big problem with life for sermons. They need to take more actions to break loose. This is happening again. I reckon that CCTV is still on every street corner my hamburger. Alright, as citizen, but perhaps it's a fair price to pay to prohibit this from happening again. Nhưng tội ác này đã lộ ra một vấn đề lớn trong lực lượng thi hành pháp luật. Họ cần nỗ lực hơn nữa để ngăn ngừa sự việc tái diễn về sau. Tôi nghĩ rằng các máy quay an ninh được cài đặt ở mọi góc phố có thể làm cản trở quyền công dân của chúng ta, nhưng có lẽ đó là một giải và cái giá hợp lý để trả cho tất cả những cái điều diễn ra này không xảy ra một lần nữa. However, some people have said that they are not willing to give up their right in order to install CCTV on each street corner and will openly protest if it ever happens. As a grace, the authorities have started that some action will be taken to prevent it. Tuy nhiên, một số người đã nói rằng họ không muốn từ bỏ quyền của mình để lắp đặt máy quay an ninh ở mọi góc phố và sẽ công khai phản đối nếu điều đó xảy ra. Dù bằng cách nào, chính quyền đã tuyên bố rằng họ sẽ thực hiện một số hành động nhằm ngăn chặn điều này. If anyone has any information to disseminate on someone who might have participated in the trial listenable, please contact the authorities promptly. Authorities are also negotiating a possible reward for anyone with relevant information, so there might be some incentives to speak up. Nếu ai đó có bất cứ thông tin gì về thông tin về vụ việc, những kẻ có thể tham gia trong các vụ án liệt kê ở trên vui lòng nhanh chóng liên hệ với các cơ quan chức năng nhằm khuyến khích các nhân chứng cung cấp thông tin. Các nhà chức trách cũng đang đàm phán một khoản tiền thưởng cho bất kỳ ai có thông tin liên quan. Thì đó là phần translate, phần dịch văn bản của chúng ta ngày hôm nay. Thì bây giờ cô mong rằng các bạn có thể đối chiếu kết quả của mình với kết quả của cô. Nếu mà các bạn có thắc mắc hay là có câu hỏi nào thì các bạn có thể comment ở phía dưới phần bình luận. Có thể giải đáp và trả lời ngay và luôn nha. Em bên ý đi học càng ngày rồi. Đây. Bye. Ai chụp đây? Nụ cười đã tết đằng sau nước mắt. Với cái nụ cười ấy chỉ cậu gọi cho ai? Một ngôi sao xa xôi. Em đang game à? Em nói một ngôi sao xa xôi em đã hát chưa? bứt được con mớ ngồi nói chuyện cả buổi anh con chả nói chi hẳn. Cọc này là cọc nhựa. Mà sao bên em đi học nhiều đó. Mà sao chị thấy đi học có mấy buổi mà. Em gì mà em. Bên đi học nhiều nữa à. À. Để thực tập xong là nghỉ đúng không? Thực tập xong là nghỉ đúng không? Hai đồng được mà. Mà sao tốt nghiệp với chứ nè. Chuẩn bị đi làm rồi đó. Thực tập đi thành là như chỉ ấn ký luôn đây. Em có báo cáo gì không? Thuế hay là tự làm? Em chào anh nha. Để tôi đọc tin nhắn nào. Vì của Mỹ là có 4 cái sâu riêng. Ý ngày trả trôi. Rồi. Cha lấy ra để cho đổi đóng á. Nhưng mà đáng được. Con Thảo lấy ra lôi ra hắn trộm mà. Còn tao mới ném phạt trong Mỹ rồi chứ. Mỹ chịu trần. Đùa chứ. Nó ai cũng giống nhau cả. Chị ta thông báo nhóm này. Chị ta thông báo nhóm V1201. Vậy. Nhìn điều cười giống thân ngữ, thân khơ hề. Khơ khơ á. Hả? Ừ. Cơn bực rồi. Anh ấy đã buồn phiền, bực bội. Chị quyết tâm rồi, đến ngày 15 chị phải kiếm được 1,2 triệu. Tiền quả video. Số tiền ấy chị sẽ có thể trả hết toàn bộ nợ 9 triệu trong vòng tháng rưỡi. Tuyệt vời. Nice. Nói với mình vay mình mua, nói với chị vay mua tiền mua nữa cho mẹ mà. Nó vay 9 triệu là 2 tháng trả nha. Mà giờ cũng khi sáng vào đây, mà cuối cùng chị cũng mua được cho mẹ quà đúng không? Thật là tuyệt vời. Đúng không? Còn hứa lông mua chi đúng không? Nợ hết được cuối cùng mình vẫn trả được, cuối cùng mình vẫn mua được quà cho mẹ. Em tệ chắc cần phải chị phải mua cho mẹ chị cái ghế massage. Mẹ chị bị bệnh đau chân, đầu gối. Đến giờ là kiểu không cối được á. Tại vì ngày xưa là ngồi làm nhiều. Giờ chị nào muốn mẹ chị làm chị cả. Tối qua đi chơi vui không? Thảo tặng quà đúng không? Thảo tặng quà đúng không? Tặng gì? Tặng cái gì? Chị hỏi Thảo tặng cái gì? Con Thảo cho nó xem mà mi nó cười, mi đừng nở tao. Tặng một cái cây có 2 chai rượu. Qua. Hả? Hắn chụp vào tao mà. Hả? Chị không tặng em á. Tao hỏi em mi nào mi không cân. Rồi em cân. Tại tao bước, sau tao thấy con Thảo tặng mấy cái cây. Nó không cân. Còn cái gì? Em còn cái gì? Em không biết. Chị đeo con Thảo đến cho mai nếu phải tạ ơn tao mà nhất đừng ngờ tao 340. Em không biết. Chuyện hai đứa bay lồ ra rồi bao rằng mấy nó thuê nhận mấy tao chụp phút chúng nông anh chị mấy nó. Hắn đó đừng như chị nghỉ mố. Ăn ngay thì anh bảo em ăn ngay đến đó mà mày vào đây tao không được. Sẽ hả? Đừng mà chưa có sự thừa nhận. Hay là mi là em trai mưa à? Hay là bạn chị cốt? Em không. Tao nó cắt tao mới lên nữa chứ mà. Đã rồi có lẽ là chưa đủ thời gian thôi. Nó nghĩ là con Thảo còn thêm thời gian để quên người cũ. Còn Mỹ là đừng kiểu rằng tán tỉnh hoặc là đừng tìm hiểu. Mà không lâu rồi chứ nữa 30 tháng 4 tính ra tới ông 7 tháng ấy chứ môn nữa. Từ tháng 9 này. Từ 30 tháng 4 mà. 8 tháng 6 tháng 7 tháng 8. À hơn 4 tháng rồi. Mẹ nữa nào mới thôi rẻ với miệng. Đừng đến chưa? Tao không biết chứ. Thì biết như vậy còn mất chủ trả tì mày. Tao không biết là có đứa là trái mạc là cứ theo đuổi mài cho đến cái người ta đồng ý thôi. Nhưng mà có một cái rằng á là sẽ biết là người ta sẽ không chấp nhận thì giờ mới cố thêm 2 năm nữa thì mình cứ cố để tán tỉnh hẳn à. À, thì rất bình thường mà. Thì con Thảo bình thường phải nghĩ cho mà. Ở đây có lẽ hắn. Thì anh nói với tao là con Thảo là chưa quên được người yêu cũ. Thế là có lẽ hắn chưa quên được nên là hắn rất muốn trong một cái cuộc mối quan hệ mới. Tại vì từ khi mới vô đây là hắn mới chia tay. Là hắn cần có thời gian nữa. Chứ không thể là mình hắn mới chia tay xong được vài 3 tháng ấy kiếm thằng khác. Con Thảo hay kiểu xế tinh. Yêu ai là. Ừ. Đừng. Tao không biết là khuyên mi cùng cả hai làm được chứ mà nếu mà con Thảo có thể con Thảo cùng mở lòng với mi cho mỗi anh nếu mà không mở lòng không bao giờ cho mấy tiền phong hẳn mà. Đó.
Anh cũng có một cái gì đó. Anh có một chút thành công ở lưng chân rồi chứ hắn chết đi đến đích.
Quan tâm nhiều hơn nữa. Nữa chứ. Yên tâm, tao có chị anh làm camera mến cho tao. Con Thảo chắc quên là nghèo cụ đâu. Không biết. Đúng không? Mình nói câu những cái điểm mà cái khuyến cái khác đừng có lì tinh là những cái điểm là... Về chưa? Về đi, tao quay sẽ xong. Chỉ quay có 1 tiếng mà, dư 44 phút rồi này. Về coi thử có phải trong ta là sâu riêng nha. Hả? Nhiều loài nhấn, có nhấn thấp cầm, nhấn đông xanh, nhấn gì đâu. 1 loài đó. Bánh nha. Ăn bánh là mua bánh. Bánh thì rất ngon đấy chứ, muốn nữa. Thì bây đang tặng cho bố mẹ là được hay không đi mua. Một cái 55.000. Từ đây là đường đây. Ngon chi nói. Ngon hả chị? Loại này ngon lắm. Chị ăn ngay mua. Tiền mua cái này đó. Năm ngoái cái này. Năm ngoái ra đi luôn. Chị cũng phong tao còn làm. Đâu nữa. Tao ngồi về là ngồi ăn bánh trung thu là ngạp mọ ấy nè. Thì tuổi mai là được rồi. Tuổi mai là được rồi. Thường là họ sẽ tặng trước. Không phải là tặng đến ngại đâu. Rồi cười sẽ bị về nhà. Đánh thại nữa im ý. Về đi. Đó. Đừng nói rồi, dư về ăn bánh trung thu là ngạp môi. Tao mày người này ngồi ăn bánh trung thu là ngạp mô mình rất. Chị cũng vắng đầu ăn. Chị ở bạn ăn bánh trung thu. Hồi từ cái phao hết nám treo trên bánh không? Hả? Anh chồng nghề. Mấy cái cảnh mà bánh mới làm kiểu rằng bây giờ nó không ok đấy. Khuôn nó đẹp á. Thế là chị ở bạn ăn đi. Kéo bọn chúng lại. Đi mới ăn. Ăn. Đó. Thì là ăn. Ăn được có khi lúc đầu thì chỗ xem mới đến giờ thì lúc đầu thật mọi thời tao nghĩ tao bánh trung thu ấy như nó ngon hề. Chứ mà nghĩ cái nào trúng dùm mua. Đưa đến phòng tao là từ ngay đến bánh trung thu tôi chán. Chứ mà để cái hộp đẹp đem về tặng nhà thông gia. Không. Không. Tao đem về tặng bà thông gia đâu. Rồi thì tiếp tục chúng ta sẽ đến với phần speaking nhá. 4. Speaking. Thì với phần speaking này thì cô sẽ đọc bài. Dairy, fried chickens and jewelry. Ming was an employee of the Vingroup Corporation. He really applied to become the CEO of Vingroup Corporation. That's why one day when he was deliberately bustling in the charger of closing 10 different Winmart stores in Hanoi, he summoned the opportunity to make a good impression with his boss. He knew it could be a very complicated assignment and means he could get the promotion he desired. He thought Ming must stay delicate to win growth, cooperating with his sons. Ming has the opportunity to travel to Winmas, which is located in a remote area, 10 kilometers outside of Hanoi. This particular Winmas didn't properly compensate their work, so Ming coordinates this thought to be closed down. The next day, Ming was responsible for closing another store down. The complaints were that this store was often rude and did not cater to their customer well. He authorized this store to be closed and eventually, after 3 weeks, Ming closed a total of 9 stores. There was only one more on his list. The next day, Ming showed up to the store ready to close it down, but when Ming stepped into the store, he caught sight of the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. It was love at the first sight for Ming. He approached the woman and asked to speak to the manager of this store. He replied, I am the boss. How may I help you? Once Ming found this out, he knew that he couldn't close this store. He was in love. So instead of closing the store down, Ming asked the woman, I want this, and she said yes. The next day, Ming informed his boss that he has closed 9 out of the 10 stores. But that the last store did not need to be closed. His boss was furious. He told Ming that he could fire him unless he closed the store. Ming thought for a second. He knew the was in love and did not want to close the store. Ming thought for a second. He knew he was in love and did not want to close the store. But there was also a fear of employment. Finally, Ming decided not to compromise and sell. As a result, Ming eventually married the woman from the store and to open up their own store. They decided to name the store Circle K. During 3 Ming was an employee of the Ring Group Corporation. He really aspired to become the CEO of the Ring Group Corporation. That's why, one day, when his boss deliberately put Ming in charge of closing 10 different Winmart stores in Hanoi, he jumped on the opportunity to make a good impression with his boss. He knew this was a very complicated assignment and Ming didn't completely understand his boss' agenda. But Ming thought that if the accomplishes this task, he could get promotion. He did right. Cooperating with his task, Ming had opportunities to travel to one Minmas quick log was located in a most remote area, 10 kilometers outside of Hanoi. This particular Minmas didn't properly compensate their growth, so Ming coordinates this store to be closed down. The next day, Ming was responsible for closing another store down. The complaint was that this store was open rule and did not cater to their customer well. He authorized this store to be closed and eventually, after 3 weeks, Ming closed a total of 9 Winmart stores. There was only one more on his list. The next day, Ming showed up to the store ready to close it down. But when Ming stepped into the store, he caught sight of the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. It was up at first sight for Ming. Approached the woman and asked to speak to the manager of this store. She replied, I am the boss. How may I help you? Once Ming found this out, he knew that he couldn't close this store. He was in love. So instead of closing the store down, Ming asked the woman, I want this, and she said yes. The next day, Ming informed his boss that he has closed 9 out of the 10 store, but that the last store did not need to be closed. His boss was furious. He told Ming that he could fire him. Unless he closed the store, Ming thought for a second. He knew he was in love and did not want to close the store. But he was also afraid of employment. Finally, he decided not to compromise, and so I resigned. Ming eventually married the woman from the store and they opened up their store. They decided the name to the store, Circle K. The mystery. Ming was an employee of the Vingroup Corporation. He really aspired to become the CEO of the Vingroup Corporation. That's why, one day, when his boss deliberately put Ming in charge of closing 10 different Winmart stores in Hanoi, he summoned the opportunities to make a good impression with his boss. He knew this could be a very complicated assignment and Ming didn't completely understand his boss' agenda. But Ming thought that if he completes this task, he could get the promotion he desires. His also stay dedicated to Vingroup, cooperating his task. Ming has the opportunity to travel to one Winmart which was located in a remote area, 10 kilometers outside of Hanoi. This particular Winmart didn't properly compensate their growth, so Ming coordinates this store to be closed down. The next day, Ming was responsible for closing another store down. The complaint were this store and often rude and did not cater to their customer well. He authorized this store to be closed. Eventually, after 3 weeks, Ming closed a total of 9 Winmart stores. There was only one more on his list. The next day, Ming showed up to the store, ready to close it down. But when Ming stepped into the store, he caught sight of the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. It was love at first sight for Ming. He approached the woman and asked to speak to the manager of this store. She replied, I am the boss. How may I help you? When Ming saw this hour, he knew that he could close this store. I was in love. So instead of closing the store down, Ming asked the woman out of a test and she said yes. The next day, Ming informed his boss and he has closed 9 out of 10 stores. But that last store didn't need to be closed. His boss was furious. He told Ming that he could fry him. Unless he closes the store, Ming thought for a second. He knew he was in love and did not want to close the store. But he was also afraid of employment. Finally, Ming decided not to compromise and tell I resigned. Ming eventually married the woman from the store and to open up their store. They decided to name the store Circle K. During the race, Ming was an employee of the Vingroup Corporation. He really aspired to become the CEO of the Vingroup Corporation. That's why one day, when his boss deliberately put Ming in charge of closing 10 different Winmart stores in Hanoi, he jumped on the opportunity to make a good impression with his boss. He knew this could be a very complicated assignment and Ming didn't completely understand his boss' agenda. But Ming thought that if he completes this task, he could get the promotion he desires. He thought we must stay dedicated to Vingroup. Cooperating with his task, Ming has the opportunity to travel to one Winmart which is located in a remote area. 10 kilometers outside of Hanoi, this particular Winmart didn't properly compensate their work, so Ming coordinates this store to be closed down. The next day, Ming was responsible for closing another store down. The complaints were that his store were often rude and didn't know cases. Their customer well. He authorized this store to be closed and eventually, after 3 weeks, Ming closed a total of 9 Winmart stores. There was only one more on his list. The next day, Ming showed up to the store, ready to close it down. But when Ming stepped into the store, Ming caught sight of the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. It was love at first sight for Minx. He approached the woman and asked her to speak to the manager of this store. She replied, I am the boss. How may I help you? When Ming found this out, he knew that he could close this store. He was in love, so instead of closing the store down, Ming asked the woman our address and she said yes. The next day, Ming informed his boss that he had closed this night out of the 10th store, but that the last store did not need to be closed. His boss was furious. He told Ming that he could fire him. The less he closes the store, Ming thought for a second. He knew he was in love and did not want to close the store, but he was also afraid of employment. Finally, Ming decided not to compromise and so I resigned. Ming eventually married the woman from the store and to open up their own store. They decided the name store Circle K. Thì đó là cái phần speaking của chúng ta trong ngày hôm nay. Bây giờ cô sẽ cho mọi người xem lại bài nhé. Nếu mà mọi người có câu hỏi hay thắc mắc nào thì mọi người có thể comment ở phía dưới thì cô sẽ trả lời câu hỏi nhé. Unit 3. Ming was an employee of the Wing Group Corporations. He really aspired to become the CEO of Wing Group Corporations. That's right, one day, when his boss deliberately put Ming in charge of closing 10 different Winmart stores in Hanoi, they jumped on the opportunity to make a good impression with his boss. He knew this could be a very complicated assignment and Ming didn't completely understand his boss' agenda. But Ming thought that if he accomplished his task, he could get promotion. He taught me he must stay dedicated to Wing Group, cooperating with his task. Ming had opportunities to travel to one Winmart which was located in a remote area. 10 kilometers outside of Hanoi, this particular Winmart didn't properly compensate their works, so Ming coordinated this store to be closed down. The next day, Ming was responsible for closing another store down. Their complaint was that this store was overruled and did not locate to their customer well. He authorized this store to be closed and eventually, after 3 weeks, Ming closed a total of 9 Winmart stores. There was only one more on his list. The next day, Ming showed up to the store ready to close it down. But when Ming stepped into the store, he caught sight of the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. It was love at first sight for Ming. He approached the woman and asked to speak to the manager of this store. She replied, "I'm not the boss. How may I help you?" When Ming found this out, he knew that he could close his store. He was in love, so instead of closing the store down, Ming asked the woman out on a date and she said yes. The next day, Ming informed his boss that he has closed 9 out of the 10 stores, but that the last store did not need to be closed. His boss was furious. He thought He thought Ming that the goods fired him. Julius, he closes the store. Ming thought for a second. He knew he was in love, and he to close the store, but he was also afraid of employment. Finally, Ming decided not to compromise, and there I resigned. Ming eventually married the woman from the store, and the two opened up their own store. They decided to name the store Circle K. Unit 3. Ming was an employee of the Wing Group Corporations. He really aspired to become the CEO of Wing Group Corporations. That's why, one day, when his boss deliberately put Ming in his charge of closing 10 different Winmart stores in Hanoi, he jumped on the opportunity to make a good impression with his boss. He knew this could be a very complicated assignment and Ming didn't completely understand his boss' agenda. But Ming thought that if he accomplished this task, he could get the promotion. He decided he thought the must stay dedicated to Wing Group. Cooperating with his task, Ming has the opportunity to travel to one Winmart which was located in remote area, 10 kilometers outside of Hanoi. This particular Winmart didn't properly compensate their work, so Ming coordinates this store to be closed down. The next day, Ming was responsible for closing another store down. The complaints were that his store and open rule and didn't locate to their customer well. He authorized this store to be closed and eventually, after 3 weeks, Ming closed a total of 9 Winmart stores. There was only one more on his list. The next day, Ming showed up to the store ready to close it down, but when Ming stepped into the store, he caught sight of the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. It was love at first sight for Ming. He approached the woman and asked to speak to the manager of this store. He replied, "I am the boss. How may I help you?" Once Ming found this out, He knew that he couldn't close the store. He was in love. So instead of closing the store down, Ming asked the woman on a desk, and she said yes. The next day, Ming informed his boss that he has closed it 9 out of the 10 stores, but that the last store did not need to be closed. His boss was furious. He told Ming that he could fire him. The less he closed the store, Ming thought for a second. He knew he was in love and he not want to close the store, but he was also afraid of employment. Finally, Ming decided not to compromise and so I resigned. Ming eventually married the woman from the store and the two opened up their own store. They decided to name the store Circle K. Em chào anh. Đáp là ngủ đó.